Hello everybody, welcome to the first Let's Play of Collab Central. It is going to be a rather old game. Actually, it's from the PlayStation 1 era, Castlevania Symphony of the Night. I'm actually going to be playing it on the Xbox 360. Like I said before, this in the intro video, this is going to be on the Xbox 360. So basically, I'm just sitting here post-commentating, just watching myself play, and I'm here to have fun. Basically, I go with a standard Castlevania trope, the whole help me thing. It doesn't do anything in this game, but excuse the quick settings, it always goes back to enhanced, so I have to always change it to original because it looks better in original. The Xbox 360 and PS3 versions of Castlevania Symphony of the Night came in, got a quote-unquote makeover, but it was just pretty much an ugly filter that, as far as I know, nobody likes. So basically, every new session I record, I'm gonna be taking it off. But yeah, right here you start as actually, this is the protagonist of actually a different Castlevania games, Castlevania Bloodlines. Or I mean, not Bloodlines, but Rondo of Blood. Sorry about that. His name is Richter Belmont. He's a descendant of the Belmont clan. He actually, his origin game, like I said, Rondo of Blood, was actually a game that never got a US release until late, I want to say, Rondo Blood had to be remade. It was remastered into the PSP, and it was titled the Dracula X Chronicles, I believe. And of course, it had major, and that was an accident right there. But it had higher development. I can't think of the word right now. But basically, it was made from the ground up. Everything that I'm doing, like the super jump and all this stuff, the dash attack and all this, actually wasn't in the original game. Basically, the moveset of Richter was his the basic whip that most, yeah, I'm pretty sure all Belmonts use, the Vampire Killer. If you double tap the A button, you would do a backflip, and that was about it. You were stuck with the engagement ring for your jump arc, like you were in the original Castlevania games, because this actually came out after Super Castlevania 4, and for whoever did play this game were actually upset because, Castlevania 4 introduced controlling yourself in midair, and Rondo of Blood took it away. But here you can see I'm gonna flawlessly fight Dracula. It's pretty easy. That circular chain attack that I did is basically you press your standard attack button, which it's the Xbox. I'm using the X button, so you press it, then you hold it, and then you wiggle the control stick around, and the chain will follow whatever you do. After you use that to cancel his fireballs, and basically just Hydra Storm him. Like you see, that's just one use of Hydra Storm, and it took 80% of his health, 60% of his health, something along those lines. And yeah, basically that's how you quote-unquote perfect the rematch against, or the fight against Dracula at the end of the first game. And then we're introduced to this long post-game, or in this game, pre-game exposition, even though it's written exposition. I'm speaking about, Richter mysteriously vanished, and Castlevania came out of nowhere, and Maria Renard, who is a character from Rondo of Blood, just went out to look for him, and Alucard, Dracula's son, woke back up, and he realized that Castlevania came back, and he decided, I'm not gonna let that happen. and he went back to Castlevania back home to try to fix that issue. And basically, we're gonna be playing as Alucard this adventure. I've already beaten the game like 3 or 4 times. I know of the play as Richter by placing Richter as your save file. I won't be doing that, obviously, because this is Alucard's game. We're here to break the game in the tail end of the playthrough, and I absolutely mean breaking the game. I'm talking about, well, for the non-Castlevania savvy people, we'll just see. But for those who do know, I'm talking about the shield rod and the Alucard shield, 2 Crusagrams. I'm not holding anything back. But as of this narration or post commentary that I'm doing right now, I so far have 5 parts recorded. They're no shorter than, what, 13, 14 minutes as of right now. I think that's a good length for me to keep right now. And basically, here's the introduction. One of the things that sets this game apart is, depending on how good you do in that boss fight with Dracula, you'll have, increased or decreased stats. The better you fight Dracula, the better your stats will be. So it's very Dark Soulsy. If that's not really a adjective, but it basically it'll give you more perks if you show you don't need the perks. Actually, that's more of a Demon Souls type of game design. And this is the very first room. You're basically just gonna fight zombies and those giant wolves. And basically, I'm just gonna sit here and farm a few for a minute. The very early parts of the game, I do spend grinding, and it's nothing too major. Actually, I don't think it happens past this part. For the 5 parts that I have recorded so far. But it's just some minor grinding just to get my levels up there, so I have an easier time with the game. Because the beginning of this game is actually quite challenging, considering games at this point, like literally, like games of this generation. Because Castlevania is, it doesn't hold your hand. It doesn't tell you. It just basically tells you you're Alucard. You're the son of Dracula. Basically, your whole point of existing is to stop Castlevania and Dracula from coming back. Here you go. Get to the top of the castle and have fun. And basically, it's up to you to get to the castle. It has a. It was the game that quoted that one of the 2 games that conceded the word Metroidvania gameplay style, which means just a giant world. A bunch of places are sealed off because you can't get to them yet. You don't have the skill set for it, but it's basically up to you to find the skill set that you need. And here we meet the Grim Reaper, one of Dracula's faithful servants. And basically, he's just gonna take all our shit. When I paused the menu just to show, I was gonna show you how good all the equipment was. I had, the Dragon Helm, which lowered defense. We had the Alucard shield, Alucard sword, da 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 da. And we were pretty suited up. Had some pretty decent defenses, all in all. And he's just gonna jack all that shit. So basically, you're left defenseless. He takes all your weapons, everything. You see, you're empty-handed. If you manage to get a cloth tunic from one of the zombies, which is, I think it's generally a rare drop, you'll get an extra defense point. But as of offensive options, for the first few parts of the game, I'm sticking with the fists. Now, as you saw on the screen, it does 9 points of attack, and you ask why would you stick with it when you're obviously going to get weapons. Well, the thing with the fists is that each fist hits twice, so I'm technically doing 18 damage, as opposed to the short sword that I just equipped, which is only 11, and it's only a one hit. It doesn't you know, since we can't see the damage we're leaving on enemies as of right now, you don't see it. But it does count as 2 hits. Actually, as far as I know it happened in the PS1 version. If they patched it out of the 360 version, then version, not virgin, then I am a fool, and we just passed the save room, we saved, we regained our health. Save rooms, of course, save your progress, heal you. They do not cure your status ailments. And right there we obtained the Cube of Zoe, which is a relic. There are various relics throughout the game. Relics are basically what are going to get us to the castle. We're going to eventually get stuff, you know, like double jumping, turning into a bat, a wolf, and a mist. And eventually, you know, the gravity jump and all that fun stuff that'll allow us to break the game later on. And eventually the familiars, which I'm of course going to show off, and I'm going to stick with the only one that's really worth it for all you Symphony of the Night enthusiasts. And then we just got the leather shield here. Shields are one of the few game breakers in this game. All projectiles are blocked by shields. Doesn't matter how crappy your projectile is, or how crappy the shield is. Projectile is going to be blocked if it hits the shield. Now, if Alucard's head is still exposed, so something that goes slightly above the shield is still going to hit Alucard. Most objects that hit below are also slightly below the shield are going to hit Alucard, unless you duck. If you duck in shield, you will, you know, completely ignore any and all attacks above you. And you also have that lower coverage. That is how you're gonna fight a lot of the Axe Knights and Axe Armors at the beginning of the game. And right here, I'm just trying to I'm trying to get the a special weapon called the Bastard. It's a knife, and it's not gonna work out for me. Basically, what you have to do is get one of the red skeletons, which are respawning enemies, and it's technically they don't respawn; they just actually don't die. You don't receive experience from them or anything. They don't have health. They go down in one hit. And I was getting him, or I was trying to get him to stick onto the switch so I can get on the platform and it can rise up and I can get the Bastard, but that's not happening, so I'm not worrying about it right now. But I have my fists, so again, it's not that big of an issue. I'm actually going to go down, and because I see it rise up a little bit, I'm like, oh, trying to go over there real quick. And here I'm going to hilariously fail. And actually, if I would have timed that better, I actually might have been able to get it. But I'm gonna go for 100%. So I'm gonna be exploring every room in the castle. That room off to the side that I ignored, I'm gonna go to right now because my health is looking kind of bad. It's a save room. The beginning of the game is actually very plentiful in save rooms, but right around after you beat the first boss, they start getting more scarce and scarce as the game progresses, and at that point you're gonna be like, well, fuck, I've been playing for 25 minutes and I haven't found a new save point. Whether you A, don't like to explore, or B, you're stuck in the same area. But this game is very explorative. It doesn't tell you where to go. So you're gonna be forced to explore. People who like following directions will not like this game. But I'm all for an adventure. I'm up for facing a challenge. Unless it's Dark Souls, that's a different type of challenge that I don't like to ever try to complete. But here you see me trying to get the Bastard a little bit more and failing again. Now you see what I mean. Now you're gonna see what I mean. Giant axe completely deflected by a leather shield. And basically that's how I'm gonna deal with those type of enemies. You're gonna see a lot of skeletons in this game. The enemy variety is very diverse, but near the end, basically it gets to where they'll be reusing some enemies, they'll slightly change up how they look, and they'll give them an extra attack or two. Like for example, the Nova skeletons near the end of the game basically are neon blue regular skeletons, instead of the regular skeletons who just throw bone in an arc. The Nova skeletons just shoot a giant laser from their crotch. You see me use one of the many sub-weapons that the main Castlevania series is famous for. The first sub-weapon you get, I'm pretty sure this is the first one you actually get, because it's the only one that actually materializes this early in the journey, is the throwing knife. The throwing knife is I believe it's the weakest sub-weapon in terms of damage, but it is very fast, and it only costs 1 heart to use. The reason that's your basic ammunition in this game. That's why I'm taking that's why I'm trying to collect every heart I can to get as many hearts as I can. The more hearts you get, the more you can use your sub-weapons. Various sub-weapons use different amounts of hearts. And, well, you'll see eventually which is actually my favorite sub-weapon, or sub-weapons, because I have a hard time deciding. Yeah, like I said, Castlevania is a PS1 game. It was actually one of the very few games that Sony was denying, because when the PS1 came out, after Sony had their fallout with Nintendo, they decided that the PS1 was going to be exclusive to only 3D games. So it was not going to be, even though it could pull off 2D beautifully, like this game is completely beautiful, they weren't gonna, they didn't want any games on there. And basically, a few of the companies, you know, kind of were like, well, if you're not gonna let us release 2D games, then, like, for example, oh god, what's the company? This is gonna kill me. The makers of Resident Evil. They were basically like, oh, then basically you don't want Resident Evil on there. And they said, oh, never mind. They changed that policy rather quickly. And then Castlevania came into the fruits. I'm pretty sure it's Konami, actually, who develops Resident Evil, or Capcom, my bad. Capcom. So yeah, so basically Capcom was basically telling them, oh, so you don't want Resident Evil? Alright, don't worry about it, we'll take our business elsewhere. And basically they're like, wait, hold up. Okay, never mind. And then games like, companies like Konami took advantage of the deal, and Castlevania came out a few months later. And this is actually the first boss fight as Alucard, Slagra, and Gaiden. Some of the more popular bosses in the Castlevania series. It's actually funny because in a lot of games, both of those bosses, you would fight them single, usually one after the other in the endgame boss rush, and basically they were a pain in the ass, both of them. In Castlevania Bloodlines, particularly, Slagra is a bitch and a half to fight. But here you can see that no matter how much trouble a Belmont has, Alucard can easily take care of every enemy that a Belmont cannot handle regularly. And I see, and you see there, I just picked up another short sword, which is completely useless, because I already have one, and I'm not using it because I have my fists. But yeah, as a 2D game, in the early PS1 era, it's obviously going to be platformer. This game is very platform heavy, as you've already seen. There's more to come. Platforming gets eventually, now you have plenty of room. Like, all you have to do is pretty much hold down the A button, and you basically always make it. This has been the ending of the first part of Castlevania Symphony of the Night. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you guys next time.